I think very pertinent questions you asked, saying that after COVID, how the technology landscape has changed one side, other side, how the approach of the citizen has changed towards availing such services, whether it is a government services, whether you are buying a product, whether it is no kind of a interacting with somebody. So entire landscape has changed in 3-4 ways. The first and foremost thing is something which was potentially used to be a kind of a in-person kind of a interaction, in-person kind of a engagement, in-person kind of a delivery. That is the first landscape what we could realize soon after COVID, and that's why I think the technology played a big role. How do you make workspace remote? How do you make workspace mobile? How do you make your workload, that is the business, wherever you are, it is accessible. It is accessible in a secure and kind of a seamless manner wherever you are staying. And then at the end of the day, what we also saw after COVID, saying that the technology adoption, the pace of technology adoption, there is a rapid change. Rapid change means somewhere, let's say you are somewhere around 10 to 15%, suddenly you are trying to jump it to 100%. And that growth, that adoption was enormous, and the technology became so seamless to adapt, in terms of remote access, in terms of remote engagement, in terms of remote delivery, and that example I can give very well, whether I am talking about a passport service, whether I am talking about a banking system, whether I am talking about UPI kind of a transactions. So everything becomes so simple, so seamless that citizen never felt saying that, am I transforming from one era to another era? So that is one of the changes we saw, and it is continuously happening now. Coming into AI, evolvement of AI, it's further changing, right? It is more important to understand, which you are saying that DPDP law in place, data sovereignty, data security, data privacy becoming the thing for you and me. And that's why I think the crux is, and the journey what we saw is, I'll start from saying that the data itself, like I spoke also during my panel discussion, saying that we need to understand data, power of data. That is the first thing. We also need to democratize data. That is the second thing. Third thing is, the moment you are start capturing and collecting the data, the first question to be asked is, what data are you collecting? If you are trying to engage with citizens, or you are collecting some citizen data, it's my and your data. You are the owner of the data, right? So I must ask a question, what data I am collecting from you? The second question to be asked is, why is it I am collecting? Even if I am collecting, why is it I am collecting? What is the use? What is the purpose? Right? And is that purpose for which I am collecting the data, am I doing something more? Am I going out of the boundaries for what I have collected that data? And that's why these laws are coming into force. The third thing is, even if you have answered those two W's, what and why, the third thing is, how are you protecting that data? And that's why we are discussing about all these sovereignty, security, sensitivity, right? And that's why this questions comes, how are you protecting that data? And when you are protecting that data, I typically say there are 4 directions: people, execution model, governance, and tools and technologies, right? All those 4 things has to be intact if you are trying to protect your data, if you are trying to address the privacy, right? And the third principle is always, what do you land if there is a problem? You land into the court of law, right? And that's why the third principle is your rules of engagement. That is your compliances, regulations, and law of the land. You must not forget. Whatever you do, those compliances, those regulations, those law of the land must be aligned with, must be guarded with, must be protected with. And last but not the least, whatever we are doing at a scale, trying to empower people, make things inclusive, trying to address problems, trying to transform something, without tools and technologies, it's impossible. The kind of masses we are dealing, more than now 1.45 billion, the kind of problems we are dealing in terms of demography, geography, literacy, education, economic conditions, those variations, without tools and technologies, impossible to deal with. So these four things, if you take care of, I think things become easy. We are seeing those changes happening, but at the same time, we are also seeing that the adoption becoming easy, journey becoming simplest, and as I said, there are a lot of innovation happening, whether in terms of government and industry engagement, whether in terms of innovating those tools and technologies, or whether in terms of, like as I said, building that entire, which I say, ecosystem at large. I must say that the CIOs, CTOs, whenever we are traveling and traversing the journeys which I spoke about, the journey for CIOs and CTOs, it was part and parcel of that. They have never been apart. They had to adapt, they had to train themselves, they had to align, realign themselves, they have to upskill, reskill themselves. And today, if you ask me, a CTO, CIO, a technology expert is driving the boardroom. He is one of the decision makers in terms of your business growth, in terms of your forecasting, in terms of your future, kind of a opportunities you are looking, in terms of you are looking for a new market, everywhere. Their role is intact. They are, as I said, part of the boardroom decision making. Absolutely, there is no second thought of it. There is nothing a new person will get born for the DPOs, right? As I said, it is the journey. Whosoever becomes a DPO, he has to travel that journey. He has to understand those potential things, whether it is in terms of data, whether in terms of security, governance, policies. Unless you travel this journey, do you really think that just because you put someone, he becomes a DPO? No, it's absolutely. I think the capacity building, change management, training has to be something I call intrinsic of the transformation process. It cannot be a separate silo way of approaching those capacity building, those change management, those training and skilling required. It has to be intrinsic. That means whatever you are doing, whatever you are thinking, whatever technology you are adopting, whatever business enhancement you are doing, everywhere those training and as I said, capacity building has to be part and parcel. In a way, say that ecosystem where the employees or the stakeholders are there, they will not even come to know that there is something being trained to me or a training is being given to me. That because you have made it part of the system. So they are also continuously learning. That's what probably I have done. No, not for mine. As I said, if you think of whether you are a private person, whether you are a private organization, government, you and me as an individual, now AI, the agent will sit everywhere. So the idea is, how do you seamlessly adapt it? How much training, skilling you require for that? That is the second thing. And third thing is very crucial, which probably someone has to explain, something I call explainability. Explainability of AI. Any decision making the AI is doing, who will explain that this decision being made is right or wrong? That explainability is the human. That power will always remain with the human. But as you rightly said, AI is the day, AI is everywhere, and directly or indirectly you are part of the AI. So that's how it is. Thank you.